Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time on Target morning brief. I'm going to get the main screen shared out to you here real quick. All right, there we go. Welcome to the morning brief. Today is Tuesday, September 8th. Again, had the big long weekend. I actually relaxed and didn't do much of anything work related for 3 days, which is not all that common for me. So it was kind of nice. It was a break that I probably didn't know I needed, but I took it and pretty fired up to get back in the week. I have a short week this week. So again, only 4 market days, and of course, a lot of action going on with the sell-off primarily in tech. Tech officially entered a correction this morning. So we're going to take a look at a lot of those names, tech names. Tesla in particular is one that is of interest. So we'll talk about that. We'll get to that in a minute. If you're catching us on replay, thank you so much for checking us out. If you want to come in and join us as part of a free trial, go to steve@ototnow.com. Send me an email. I will have my staff send you a free trial information, and you can join us. This is an investment forum. We talk mostly long-term investment stuff, answer all questions. We chat off screen that you don't see as part of the replay. Is we have a chat window for people to talk back and forth. We have a question and answer that we can go through back and forth. It's primarily me talking, but everybody else is interacting in these other windows. So please check us out. Love to have you. All right, as far as the rest of it's going to be a fighter pilot brief, so let's get into it. Mission objectives this morning are grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Today, we're focused primarily on protecting our money and talking about some of the tech names and whether or not we should move out of them. Primarily we're going to stick with the big ones, but there are certainly names like Tesla that you could get out of if you were in, and we'll talk about that. Not only Tesla, but 2 other folks that are big high flyers got snubbed by the S&P 500, but we'll get to that here in a minute. For our tactical objectives, that's our discipline topic we're going to talk about. Some other EV, being electric value names, are in play this morning, so we will get to that as well. And our question today isn't a question unless it's what is Elon Musk up to, but it's more of a topic of not just what he's up to with Tesla, but he has several other companies out there, and a lot of people don't have their minds around that. So we're going to talk about that today, and I think honestly Tesla is the least interesting of the other 4 total companies that we're going to talk about today. I have all their websites pulled up. We'll just hit them real quick and I'll show them, and if you're interested, you can go learn more. But a lot of really pretty amazing stuff out there. For the flow of today's presentation, it'll be long, short, open, short, long. What that means is we're going to start with a market review around the world to see how the markets are this weekend coming into today. And then we are going to do a headline review where we're going to look at the markets, the CNBC headlines of the day, to see kind of predict where the day and the week are going. The long-term investments we're going to take a look at are those listed here. Tesla, Nikola, GM, big announcement this morning, NIO, Workhorse, and Shell all have basically either news coming out or they're awaiting news that is likely to hit this week. Once we get within 10 minutes of the market open, we're going to look at some day trading opportunities. Generally on a Monday, you don't have much in motion. Coming out of this 3-day weekend, I literally have, if you can see in my notes, you probably can't, but 10 names, both long and short, that meet the criteria that we look at for our strategy. And literally, it's going to be try to cherry pick the correct one or ones out of that to be able to follow today. Once we get done with day trading, that'll be 5 to 10 minutes after the market's open. We'll get out of that mode, go back into long-term mode, talk about the topic of the day, and answer all of your questions. If you have any issues, like I heard from one of you this morning, just reach out to me at otot.now.com, and I have staff standing by to take care of your needs. And standard disclaimer applies. This is an educational presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before you act on anything you hear in this presentation in your own portfolio. All right, let's go up to the TD Ameritrade Think Pipes platform, and I will take you through the year in review in this screen that just popped up. This is the S&P 500. It is a 1-year look from left to right. So I had the big run up in February, this big COVID-19 sell-off in March, kind of a straight line up until, Thursday of last week. We had a pretty decent move down. I said, don't worry about that. We had another move down Friday. I said, I'm a little more worried, but not as worried, because it's the names that the names that took the market this high are the ones that are bringing it right back down, right? So we're literally talking about 10 names moving the market, not necessarily the whole market doing this, but this is what I call reversion to the mean. I talk about that kind of ad nauseum. Not really concerned if the market came all the way down to 300. That would be normal. As far as tech itself, let's look at the Qs real quick. As of this morning, this is the NASDAQ. Tech from its peak to trough is going to be down closer to that 10%. So that's your correction. So you're going to hear that all day long. That will dominate the headlines. Tech and correction, blah, blah, blah. It's Apple and Tesla that are bringing the market down. And again, Tesla up 1,000% a year, and market and Apple up like 70% in the past 3 months. So they were due to take a break and come in. It is not concerning. I will have a video out to my regular clients sometime today, maybe this evening, kind of saying the same things, putting everything in perspective and really focusing more on the election. That's the big issue that's coming up. All right, let's focus in on the SPY in the last 5 days. Here's your last 5 days in the SPY. Again, the dark blue are the actual days. So this is Monday through Friday. Obviously, we have 3-day weekend, so this is us opening up. So even where we are now is not lower than where we were on Friday when the market just kind of sank right out of the get-go. So do I expect to continue down? Yeah, I do. I expect there's going to be some good news. The market may try to go higher today, but I don't think we're going to see a rip your face off green day like all the world worries are over. The big news out of the weekend is that we'll talk about is the S&P was supposed to take some names into it, and the S&P, guess what? Adults showed up in the room and made what I would call the right decisions, but we'll get into that once we see the actual headlines. As far as our calendar out there today, there are some earnings out. Here's your big one. After the market today is Lululemon, again, specialty retailer. These names have been on fire. We'll see if they can keep it up. They might be running out of steam. I would kind of be surprised if it can continue up. The other one that's coming out after the market today is Slack. You know, it's a name that I like. It's got high margin, very useful tools for the workplace, but we'll see. I don't know if it can continue to be on fire either. And there's our charts that we're going to set up for our shorts today. So let's bring our screens on down to CNBC. We'll take a look at the headline review. And starting with around the world. So here's our pre-markets. I'll hit refresh right here. So I've been up for a few hours now, kind of an early day for me. And these have been kind of steadily selling off throughout the morning. So not many people are hopping in on it's kind of a Monday morning as far as mentality. Not a lot of volume anytime in the beginning of the week until the actual bell hits. But yeah, there's some people in here doing some selling. I don't know if anybody's doing any buying on into this. Okay, European markets down across the board, 1% or more, basically, if you will. Asian markets, so in the green. So again, they tend to react more off of us than us to them, but that's also a good sign. So really, I think this is that tech-induced correction that we were kind of overdue for. Nobody realizes how far we've moved up so fast sometimes until it starts to correct a little bit. That's reversion and mean. Again, not worried about it. There's our U.S. numbers from Friday. Again, they got ugly in the morning and got better throughout the day. VIX, I've been talking about that. That was kind of the high of the day on Friday, up at 35. It's back down to around 31 or 32 right now. That's a play that I like out there. All right, let's take a look at bonds. Bonds market not moving a whole lot. Oil, that's the big one, down 6%, down below 40. That adds to volatility basically in the world. So much so that my computer decided to zoom in on it. So let's go back to oil. There we go. So yeah, 6%, pretty big deal across the board, across all the energy names kind of getting hit. Gold and silver also off a little bit, not appreciably, but then that's more of the entire market selling off sort of thing. So as far as headlines, back to the pre-market, we'll give it a little refresh there. NASDAQ futures dropped 3%. So again, when you add up the past 3 days, that's going to take us down to the correction mark, which is 10%, which market corrections aren't a big deal. Bear markets and tech are kind of a big deal. But when you compare the crash, which is what's being done in the news, the crash of 2000 to Are we in a tech bubble? You could say yeah, some certain names were for sure. Apple, Tesla got carried away. But, are we in the pets.com sort of mentality? And we're just not. Even names like Zoom that you might say, wow, I don't know, it seems like it's really overvalued. I would agree with you, but it still adds value. It's not like literally pets.com that added no value and all these made up companies out there. So I don't compare the two. Well, we shall see, but I don't think we'll looking at some 90% crash in tech or anything like that. It's just not the same. All right, Dow down 250. Yeah, okay. All right, here's our Nikola shares pop up to 53% after General Motors takes a stake. I've been told it over and over this is Nikola, but everybody on CNBC today is saying Nikola, including Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, who just did a strategic partner. So maybe it is Nikola. I don't know. 11% stake in the truck maker, but that's not the important part. They're making the Badger, which is the truck that's pictured, which is still conceptual. They're going to make that at GM plants. So that's kind of a big deal. So they're kind of all in together on this EV truck, the Badger. And, we'll see. But again, the stock finally got some love with that. All right. Where to go to even next? There's so much to talk about. Let's talk about the S&P 500 snub. So Tesla, we talked about how they had to beat earnings for the fourth straight quarter. This was like a month ago, and they did. And it was like automatic inclusion into the S&P 500. Who would snub this huge market cap car maker that clearly has now met all the requirements other than one? Common sense tells you that this car maker cannot be like bigger than all the other car makers combined when they make a fraction of the cars. I mean, we're not talking like it is a fraction. We're talking it literally is fractional compared to the rest of the car makers. It's stupid. The stock got carried away. The stock's getting hammered. It got hammered last week. It'll continue to get hammered. We'll look at the chart. I'll give you what my take is, and we'll see if it actually happens. People follow Elon Musk as a cult, and cults ends in two ways. You go to jail or you die. Your choice, right? So maybe not your choice, but that's the only way those two things end. So they got snubbed. They're calling 15% a crater. I think it has more downside. That's in addition to like 15% last week. Also, who else got snubbed? Zoom Video, ZM. Didn't get included in the S&P 500 after crushing it for the past year. Said, no thanks. DocuSign. I thought that was a lot safer name. I would have included if I was sitting in the board. They would have gotten a yay vote from me, the board member, to include them. But they got snubbed as well. So kind of, the S&P board is really keeping it old school, if you will, and not letting these new high flyers in right now. And they could let them in next quarter. It doesn't, just because so like the Hall of Fame, you don't have to get it on your first year, right? But everybody certainly thought that Tesla was going in the S&P 500, which would have entailed a bunch of buying from all the instruments out there that I don't like, but all these index funds and mutual funds that have to now buy things that are in the S&P 500, and they said, nope. So there you go. There's the sell-off. All right, let's see what else we have. Goldman sticks with a sell rating on Apple. That hurts my heart a little bit with the sell rating, 33% downside. Well, you're still up 35% in the past 3 months if it sells off by a third. And yeah, it's a little different because of the math, but sure, you're still going to be up in the name, and especially if you've held it for a decade plus, you're going to be way up in the name. And I think it's got all kinds of future in it. So really, as much as it pains me to say it, I would love for Apple to sell off 33% so I could buy more. That's right, and put everybody else in it that doesn't have it yet. So not all that concerned with Apple and Goldman. They're probably right, but certainly ugly. All right, let's see. Futures plunge. Congress and the Hill are back in session, so maybe we'll start seeing some stimulus talks dominate. I'm not sure that people are really caring as much as they were on the stimulus and the exact looks on the package. Ooh, good. Peloton announces they have a more expensive bike and treadmill. That's sarcasm because it's already like $2,000 for one of their bikes. So sure, thanks for jacking up the price and making an even better one. All right, let's see. Disney getting an upgrade. I like that. zoomed in again. I need to stop doing that. All right, and let's see what else we have down here. There's a lot of talk about the Robinhood crowd maybe driving this. I'm not so sure that's true, but maybe, right? The theory there being that everybody who's under 25 who went to Robinhood and got their, free $10 or whatever, bought Tesla stock and Apple stock. So maybe that led to some of it. And if that bubbled, fine. It can, it'll unwind a little bit. But, if you're up, depending on when you got in, you could be up in these names. If you need to get out of these names, just get out and reassess. You do have a big election coming up. All right, before we go into our topic of the day, let's take a look at the chart on Tesla, which is here, and took a look at the actual valuation. So even after it dropped from 500 now down to 400, and as of this morning on another chart, it's well below 400. It's down at 375, so it's really down in here where the bottom of that doji is off of Friday. That's where it is. What's the actual valuation? Well, that's if you're going to ask anybody that looks at charts for a living, at 1,000 PE with a forward P of 136, it's still at least half. I think 200 would be the max you could even try to claim that the stock is worth right now. And again, split adjusted, that's the old 1,000. Literally, it's not worth $100 a share. It really isn't. This is an entire bubble. These were actual numbers here, and this was 9 months ago. Actual numbers, and then it just basically exploded higher, and hyperbole, just insane. When you look at these type of returns, performance for the year 820%. So it could either revert to the mean by making nothing for the next 20 years to average out these returns, or it's going to come crashing back down. So the long-term chart looks about right. I mean, they make cars for goodness sake. So that's what the chart is. We'll go over to, we'll take a look at the other websites here once we get to the question of the day. So let's share out to you the Schwab screen, and you can see Tesla in the upper left coming to you now. So you have Tesla up here in the upper left. Then you have Nikola, whatever. I will figure that out today. You also see over here on the right screen, it's being talked about real time on CNBC right now. So Nikola up 30%, General Motors up 6%. So here, remember Nikola was a special purpose acquisition company, the closet IPO. It jumped, came in, kind of, this was the hype down here, and then basically 10x'd it up to 100. And then realism started setting in. They released some earnings in here, and it's basically settled in. So Nikola, see if I don't have the actual stock price on here, but it's again jumping up probably close to 50. Well, here it is, 46, right here on the right-hand side, and Kramer's talking about it right now. So we'll see. It's on our long watch for day trading. If you want to take something long, I think GM is a better long, which is right here, which has been left for dead as a lethargic automaker of yesterday. However, I have a GMC truck now. I'm pretty thrilled with it. I have, it's a new car, so it shouldn't have issues, but literally thrilled with everything about it. It's undervalued as far as the stock because it was left behind and all the money's flowing into these crazy names. So your real upside is not on a chart like this. It's on a chart like this. And that's where you're going to see if money is flowing out of tech, it's going to flow into value, and GM would be considered a value type investment. Another high flyer out there, NEO. Obviously, it's been up and down all over the place, but stabilizing here up around 18. Again, it's kind of emerging as the #1 China electric vehicle maker. And here in the U.S., we have Workhorse and Shell. Both have big trucks, EV trucks, electric trucks that are out there. Both of them are vying for part of the $5.8 billion, I believe it is, contract for the Postal Service. Of the two, Workhorse is my favorite. I still think it has a better price point, and I don't think, even though it's made the jump here, I still think it's stayed in this level long enough to where you can buy it below 20 and watch it go higher. Shell has been a little more of a, all over the place, going from $10 up to 60 and back. I would rather stay in something that's a little slower in the ascent, if you will, and instead of a name like this. So, very nice. Went to the Corvette Museum over the weekend. I like it. Very cool. Thanks, Predator. All right, let's take a look at some of the short names out there. Again, where do I get my information? Largely off of briefing.com on the gapping up and gapping down. So if you're going to do your homework ahead of time, that is one place to look. And again, this is Schwab's platform. You can also go to marketresearch.com and just they have a gapping up and down slide where you can get not only how much things are gapping, but the volume. You know, our strategy entails we're looking for things that are gapping 5 to 10%, and it's a gap and go strategy, meaning we're going to take it in the direction. If it's gapping up, we're going to take it long. If it's gapping down, we're going to take it short. So let's look at some of those names. The first one I have for you is, we'll go through the longs first, NKLA. So you saw up the chart up to 46, it said 45 now, so it's kind of fading a little bit, but that's the big news of the day. The one that I like better is GM. So is it 30 up now to 32? So when you look at this chart backed out, you know, it really hasn't been, it was up 29 in mid to late June. So it's kind of breaking its way back higher again. Other things are the shift to value. Another is a shift to the vaccine, meaning now we can get auto workers back in and working full time, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of positives for GM in the long direction. As a trade, I would trade the headline today. I would not get into it as an investment. I'd look at Ford. If you were having to be in an automaker, I would go into Ford myself. All right, so that's GM. Another one, SPRO. I don't know what they do. It's a therapeutics. 896 up to 989, so that's 20-some%. Then sold off some headlines here. So again, nice move in a pharma that has much more room to run up higher. So if that interests you, put down SPRO. KMDA shooting higher. It's another pharmaceutical company from $9 up to $10.50. Some more pharma news. Last pharma name, VRNA. Low volume here, so I wouldn't take this one. 6 to 7, again, gapping up on some studies out there. Let's take a look about, I like VXX. Some of you have that in your portfolios out there, and I have a ton of it. Shaved some off over the past Thursday. I sold some. Friday I sold some. I set different levels, and I shave off a couple hundred shares at each range. So, it came up here. I sold some at 31.50, I believe, if I remember right. And then I sold some more at 33. I will set the next bar at 35, which again, we may see today. It's up at 31.30 already. And again, it was showing 35 in the, from Friday was the high. It was actually 34.21. Again, the VXX replicates the VIX, so a little bit, not exact numbers there. But again, you're going to see this gapping up from 29 to 32. Whenever the market's falling and you don't know what to trade, you can log in, buy the VIX, and just hold it till the end of the day and then sell it. It is a money-making strategy. All right, one just popped up here, BNTX. This is one we follow. This is, again, they and Pfizer got this big contract for all these vaccines, 59 up to 61. So again, a lot of profit taking in that name, kind of going back higher. It's probably undervalued. So we'll kind of come back to that today. All right, on the short side, a couple things to talk about are the XLK, which is really just overall the tech ETF. I wouldn't short this, but certainly a lot of others would and have. So 118 down to 114, it's around 3% and just kind of marching down. If you really look at here's your black in here, black spaces are the market days. So really it's come from, 127 all the way down to 113 in the past 2.5 days. Also with that, you could, I don't, but some people stick to indices and short indices. Again, shorting the NASDAQ also 283 down to, it's off 10 points there. That's around 3%. If you think we're just going to continue this tech sell-off, that's another way to play it. I don't do that. All right, let's look at Take-Two Interactive. I do like Take-Two. They're one of the gaming companies that we're in out there. It's selling off 161 down to 158, so it was down 17% earlier today. On a stock offering headline, it's not down nearly that much anymore. There it was, minus 17, files for a stock of selling shareholders. I don't like that gap as much as the headline I liked, but so that's off our list. Let's see, Tesla, let's take a look at that real quick. Tesla's kind of in a free fall, which is where you want to short something. So previous close 418, 359. I'm sure it's over here somewhere, down 15%. So it's kind of out of our range. But you could short Tesla here. It'd be easy to grab some shares to be able to short. And again, they're snubbed off of the S&P 500. So we'll take a look at the other two. DocuSign, plenty of volume, 216 down to 203. So zooming out here, 203. This DocuSign has more room to fall. I like this one. What percent are we at on DocuSign? It might be here. I don't see it, so we can eyeball it. 12, so it's about 6% at a $200 stock price. So that is kind of the heart of the envelope for going for our day trading strategy short. So I do like that. All right, the other one is Zoom. Down from 369 to 353 after just peaking not too long ago. What's that? 4 days up at 470. So House of Pain, there's no resistance. It can free fall all the way down in here. So it does have plenty of room to fall. So I like that setup as well. And it has the volume. So we'll definitely be taking a look at DocuSign and Zoom on the downside. All right, Nokia got a downgrade in OK. This has been left for dead. So 448 down to 420. We'll zoom out here. So that's where it was. It's basically at previous resistance. It went up above 5, got some life in it for a few weeks, and then is down, selling off pretty hard, 448 to 419. Again, that was a downgrade that it got today. I do like this. And again, I like it because you can buy a bunch of shares and you would only need like a 10-cent stop. So definitely looking at Nokia on the downside. Apple, will just show it to you. I would not short Apple. So 120 down to 115. So when you look at the sell-off, it was up at 138. Here was the split. So continued higher after the split. Now the reality is kind of set in. It's down here at 115. I'm not worried about Apple at all and not going to short it. NEO off 5%. 1798 down to 1701. So again, it's down here. This could free fall as well. So I really like that. That's probably my fourth choice now is NEO, to keep an eye on that. Just from a chart perspective is what I really like about that. All right, NVIDIA is another big name that's selling off 7% today as part of the tech sell-off. So again, peaked back here at 600. So 2 months ago, it was down at 350, came all the way up to 505. Now it's down to 471 right now. Plenty of room to fall on the downside. So I'll put that as our number 5. So I'm looking short today pretty much across the board. All right, let's look at our volume. Nicola, we talked about, not going to touch it, not going to touch Apple. Tesla, you can short if you want. NEO, again, is my number 4 short. General Motors, if you want to take them long, you can. Not excited about it. All right. No volume, no volume, no volume in any of those. Decliners. NVIDIA at 7%. The rest are less than 5. All right, let's go over and set up our TD Ameritrade. We are 1 minute from the open. So you can see, actually, I already have it set up. Here's your SPY on the left, so we'll kind of zoom in on that. So let's see, here we go. Yep. So here we go for the play of the day, 40 seconds to the open. We have the SPY on the left. You can see it's kind of been selling off and stabilized somewhat. Our number 1 short here is Nokia. You're going to need a stop of about, it's got the volume, thinking of about a 7-cent stop up above 430. The next short would be DocuSign. Again, it got snubbed out of the S&P 500. So about a $2 stop, maybe more, $3 stop. Again, we're looking at Nokia first, and we'll look at these other two. And Zoom, you're going to need about a $4 stop if you get in on Zoom. Again, it got snubbed. Some strength out of DocuSign here, so we shall see. But our primary effort is over here. We're looking at Nokia. We're waiting for it to break down to below 419 and then go from there. And then we'll look at the other two. All right, let me zoom in on this. All right, we're going to use a 4-cent stop. If it hits 418 again, was where we're going to take it. There's our 418 entry, so we're taking Nokia short. I'll draw your arrow for you. The 4-cent stop, so get the stop in at 422. I'm going to zoom out just enough to take a look at that to make sure that's a good stop. Let's go 5-cent stop. Let's go 422 safe. 422 safe, that'll be a 4-cent stop. So that means to the downside, we're going to want it to be 414 as our first R. All the way down here, this will be R number 1. And if it falls past that, we will take a look. So let's get zoomed back in here. And this is the trade we are in, entry point at 418. And you've got our stop at 422. So get that in there. 6%, exactly what we're looking for as far as a short trade out there. All right, the market looked like I saw in that first minute, big sell-off here. Again, this is the S&P down to 1.8% or so, showing a little bit of strength there in minute 2. That could be short covering. That could be a lot of things. I'm not all that concerned about that. We're in the Nokia trade. All right, DocuSign's kind of powering higher here. So let's kind of measure where we are. So they're out of our window already for this. They're backed up to where they're less than a 5% sell-off. So let's not do this name. Let's replace it with my number 4, which was NEO. 6%, still in the range. Let's see how it's doing from the open. So 17, it went down 20 cents already, another 20 cents here. Just backing it out to kind of look to see where our resistance levels are. Yeah, Friday, gosh, it went all the way down to 15. So we would need a, I'm not going to like the stop on this one, but I do like the entry. Yeah, we're not going to take this. We're going to let it back up. If it backs up all the way to 17, I'm just going to put a tick mark here so I know what to look to. I remember what to look for. I'm going to need it all the way back up to 17, and then watching it. If it comes down to 16.9 again, this is where we will take it short. So don't be confused by my drawing series. They're kind of notes for myself, so I can keep it all straight in my brain. I need it back in the green up above 17, and then we take it short if it hits back to 19 again. So that's really what we're looking for out of that pattern. It looks like it's trying to do it, but we're going to put our brain cells elsewhere. All right, 350 dropped $3. So not a whole lot of movement out of Zoom, kind of stabilizing. I know it's a very popular name. So we'll take that one down and look at NVIDIA, which is my 5th choice. It's still down in that 5% off range, even though it's moved up from 470. Yeah, it's only $11 move. You're going to need a $5 stop in this name if you were to do it. So we're just going to watch that for a second. I'm going to look at something on another screen. All right. All right, so where are we? We are not in. Okay, we did get our NEO back up, screaming higher. What's the market doing here? All right, still market's kind of selling off. Still waiting for Nokia to sell off. Not worried about that at all. New high on NEO, so I'm not going to touch that, so we'll get rid of NEO. Let's see what some of the others are doing out there today that we talked about. Nokia, Apple. Let's check Apple. See what Apple's doing here at the open. Power and higher. I think there's probably enough. I think people are probably tired of the selling in Apple to where there's probably enough people out there going, you know what, I think this is a good entry point. Might be a little bit premature, but I can't say they're wrong. Let's look at Tesla. All right, it was down basically 15% at the open. It's kind of battling where it is. Ooh, I like this. Nice long dojis. I'm not going to short it. But again, your entry would be, if it falls down below 350, then that's where you enter, and you cover above the high of the day is up at 360. So it'd be basically a $10 stop is where you'd end up putting your stop out here. So you'd have to wait for this to come down. You'd have to have some conviction there. I'm not going to do it. I'm in our one trade. I like our trade a lot, but it's not working for me. So I have to be disciplined. And you don't just hop into other trades because, you know, got to make sure we got the correct stuff working. All right, let's look at some long names. So again, this is the trade we're in. This is the one that's kind of setting up. We shall take a look, and there we're out of the, I think that touched it. So we're out of our trade, down an R, starting our week off in the minus. So yeah, I would call it good for one day. I'm not all that concerned about it. We will catch up with it. Catch up our trading tomorrow. All right, let's look at NKLA and see how that's acting higher. Even down here, went up to 48, down to 44, still up 25%. That's probably, I would imagine that would sell off lower today. All the excitement is out of it. Let's look at some of those pharma names. S-Pro, not getting any love at all. It was up 23% at one point. So there you go, 9 up to 1252. It's basically right back to where it was. Let's look at KMDA. It's up 10%. It was up 19% earlier. So you see that kind of selling off. So a lot of the pharma names. And let's check out the VIX. Talked about the VIX and see what the VIX is doing. VIX was up 8% earlier. It's kind of selling off. So you would assume to see the market going higher. So the Dow is down 400 points at minus 1.5%. NASDAQ's down 3%, basically 2.88, and you can see the SPY on the left down 1.8. So I bet you that the VIX ends up higher than where it is now, probably up towards 31 today, I would imagine, unless everybody gets all excited and the market gets closer to green, but I don't see that happening. All right, that's enough on our short-term charts. We had one trade, it busted out. We're not going to take another, but we are going to look about what's going on in the big picture. So again, this is the 5-day SPY. So you can kind of see dojied all the way down here and then kind of saving face, if you will. The short, you know, this would be our resistance level, 335 or so. And the only reason I bring that up is if the SPY would go below 335, then, or 334.87, that's when you tend to see the free fall. So a lot of folks are kind of waiting for that to happen. If it goes below that, then you tend to see it continue down lower. All right, Nicola's Northwest Bio has been on fire. These are all psychedelic names. LCA. It's been a pretty good move higher out of LCA. That's going to become GNOG, G-N-O-G at some point in time. There's Workhorse, you know, we like that. Awaiting that Postal Service contract, and Love, but not a whole lot of names in the green at all. Let's look at big red names. I bet we'll see some. Click. There we go. All right, Tesla down 15%. That's about where we saw. Apple, again, these are all calls, so when they go down, that's good news for us. They're losing value. We sold them, so that's a move up. Let's see, some marijuana names, psychedelic names. NEO down 5%. Apple down 4.4%. Shopify is another high flyer. Alibaba, high flyer. So again, our high flying tech names are all off about that 5% as tech enters correction. So that's enough to look at there. I want to take us down, and I will close with Elon Musk. Obviously, you know, I don't like Tesla stock, but I do like the car. I do like Elon Musk, and I think he's a visionary, but the whole electric cars and stuff, I think, is only scratching the surface of what he's going to do for us during his lifetime. And I hope he lives a nice long time because he's got enough money to affect change in the world. So I like that. So get the correct screen shared out to you. So you know that the company that's in the news all the time is Tesla. And as you look across the top of the website here, what you will see is solar roof and solar panels. If you remember Solar City? Yeah, it got all these incentives, stock tax savings, all this stuff kind of kept this thing afloat for a long time. And then it was just going under, and it would have gone away except for Elon Musk was either going to take it private or, hey, why don't I meld that in with my car company? And kind of what I call it is Elon Musk eating his own turd, because that is exactly what happened. And nobody in Tesla cared that they just took this huge money losing business onto their books. I would care about that. I don't know why nobody else does, but whatevs. When you take a look at the models that are out there, again, the one that gets a lot of attention is the Model X because of the X-Wing fighter doors. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I admit that first time I saw one, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch that. But after you see it once, you go, okay, right, nice gimmick. I don't know about that clearance between when you're parked. Nothing really beats the minivan of the door coming out like 3 inches and then sliding straight back. Can't really beat that, right? I don't have a minivan, but I got to admit their utility is pretty impressive. All right, so that's it. And then when you get into solar roof, again, this is all now Tesla. And I like the home of the future idea. I like the, build the battery in the foundation of the house, build it into the walls. I like all of that stuff. That's not high margin. Everything I just said there does not have high margin associated with it. So that's why I don't want to be a shareholder of it. But it's cool ideas, wave of the future, just expensive. So you can get solar roofs built on your house, of course, and you can get your solar panels to strap onto existing roofs. So kind of do this now, and then the wave of the future is just build the solar roof, including the battery foundation and all that. That's coming. It's already out there, and I like all that stuff, just not as a shareholder. All right, the next company we'll talk about is SpaceX. You know about the Dragon crew that returned from space. What an incredible event that was. There's a video online down here somewhere where you can say, watch the video. Maybe I already passed it. Replay. Yeah, this is an 8-hour video, but literally if you spend 5 minutes, you can go over and find kind of the cool parts. But you can see their mission control, how they're talking about it. It's basically a mini NASA, which is cool. So yeah, you know that he wants to colonize Mars. So SpaceX is just what he's doing now is our small steps towards that. And of course, my favorite Elon Musk quote is, I want to die on Mars, just not on impact. Love that, and we'll say that forever because that's hilarious. And I hope he does colonize Mars and gets to die there. Good for him. All right, the next one now that is not getting nearly as much attention, and I'm just going to, while I talk about it, I'm going to play this video for you. So if you don't know what the Boring Company, other than being a cute name and a play on words, as far as how boring it is, this volume, but you can still hear me. Okay. Yeah. So here you have a side-by-side of a car traveling from its home place to its workplace. The video is like a minute, so I can talk to it a little bit about that during that time. So yeah, so you drop down into the ground and you basically bore a hole from these different ways. Now, I will say that you're like, all right, well, I guess you have to live at one end of the tunnel and you have to be going to the other end of the tunnel because you don't really see any off ramps. So yeah, I got that. But basically, Elon Musk is saying with our traffic situation in the United States in our congested areas, there's two options. There's one option. It has to go 3D. So we have stacked interstates. We have one here in Austin. And San Antonio's got a stacked interstates, but you can only do so much. So he's like, we either need flying cars or we need to go underground. And he says it's a lot easier to build permanent structures underground. So kind of like a subway, except subway for cars. So you still have your vehicle, but now it has other options than to participate in the infrastructure that's out there. So obviously we're just scratching the surface of this concept, but you can show that if you get down in your tunnel, if you see down here, you can go, his max speed was 127 miles an hour because there's no speed limits in your tunnel. And you get your other poor Joe that is just driving to work, and he pulls out a bench so he can basically greet his buddy with some coffee because he's bored because he has to wait for his buddy. So anyhow, that's kind of the idea there. When you look at the projects page, the one that really kind of stands out to me is they're talking LA and Vegas, but I could really see this being, part of the DC action, to where you have several of these, almost like another subway, where you have on and off ramps at these different places, and you go to a large parking facility downtown somewhere below the Pentagon, I don't know, wherever, right? But there's so much traffic in that area, and if you've had to operate in that area, it's kind of painful. So I think there's a future here of some sort. So, but of course, with any Elon Musk company, you know that the Tesla has a little fart noise maker. If you go up to the front screen, you can put a fart noise basically in 22 different locations, because he thinks that's funny. Well, with the Boring Company, they also came out with, they sold flamethrowers for a while. They sold 20,000 of these. I was trying to find the price. I couldn't find it earlier today. But yeah, they have a flamethrower, and they sold 20,000 of them. And they also sold separately a ridiculously overpriced fire extinguisher to turn around and they're sold out of both. So the video is kind of silly. It just shows flamethrowers. Yeah, that's the entirety of that video. So yeah, whatever. What I really think the future is of everything he's doing, and this is something I played a game back when I was a kid. It was like Dungeons and Dragons, except it's futuristic instead of going into the past and dragons and all that. And they had what was called a rigger, where you were a pilot and you would plug into your machine. And I remember this was back when I was a teenager, and I always thought that really was pretty smart. And then when I get on active duty, I'm actually flying fighters, and I heard some of the DARPA, which is the advanced research projects that are out there talking about these things, is actually a way to, if I could have, I would have volunteered for this in a heartbeat, for them to bore a hole in my brain and somehow plug my jet into my brain, or into the helmet into my brain. I would have done that in a heartbeat. I believe that is the future, 100%, that there won't be actions in a cockpit. There will just be thoughts, and the thoughts will therefore make things happen. So, all right, I see the flamethrower, some stuff popping up there. If you see a price tag, throw it in there for me. Who do we have here? Burner. So, but back to this. So when you think of this, it's like, this is kind of blah, 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 until you see approach. And here's what I'm talking about, or here's what at least they have the leading, is the top of the head. They bore a hole and put this little guy into your brain that, processes, stimulates, and transmits neural signals. And obviously we're at the beginning stages, because what they brag about is down here of that you can actually control your app with your brain. I'm like, well, okay, maybe I would want like a better, like, really, I'm going to go have my skull operated on to be able to think about apps. But obviously, if we can do this, you could also drive your car this way, fly a plane this way, do lots of other things that are now thought activated. So I really do think this is the way of the future. This will happen. I don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime. I sure hope I do, because I think this is the coolest thing that he's a part of, is how to interface the brain with not apps, but technology, if you will, at large. All right, so that's all I've got for the topic of the day. 3,700 from Burner is the price tag on the flamethrower. How did I not get that for client gifts for Christmas, right? Those would be amazing. All right, so that's all I've got for you today. Let's check back on the markets. Still selling off, so 2% for the Dow. NASDAQ down 3%, S&P down a couple of percent. Checking on another screen. VIX is back up close to almost 31. So long VIX, I think, is the trade for the day if you were continuing to trade. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much. Again, short week. So we will see you back in tomorrow morning. Talk to you then. Bye.